and welcome to Beyond the Bio. Today's guest is Nicki James, global brand strategist, speaker, best-selling author, and founder of the House of Brand. With more than 15 years of experience in branding and personal branding, Nicki has worked with globally recognized names including National Geographic, NFL, Sipsmith, and Jim Beam, before helping founders around the world build brands that become known, trusted, and impossible to ignore. Nicki's approach blends brand psychology, human behavior, and strategic positioning to help founders create brands that people don't just understand, but they actually connect with. That is important. Nicki, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. Really excited to be here.
I'm excited. I've got some great questions for you. But first of all, tell us, what is a global brand strategist? Because this feels like one of those titles where it could mean lots of different things. Tell us what it means in your world.
So I love this. So one of my favourite things is I don't even think you can really describe what it is that I do in a title, but I'm not going to become one of those people that have one of those weird and wonderful titles that nobody really knows what it means. So I think I approach brand really differently. So we have like a four-pronged approach to how we approach brand. And fundamentally, like a lot of it starts with identity. I think like when we are building brands, so many people stereotype them as logos, websites, colors, fancy photo shoots, like all of those kind of things. But when I speak about brand, I think brand ripples through every single thing that it is that you do. It's behind every single move that you make, and it has to start with you. So we have a really identity-led approach, very much like you have to shift internally in order to be able to move externally. So when we talk about brand, we talk about identity-led positioning, we talk about neuroaesthetics, because fundamentally, for anybody that doesn't know what that means, neuroaesthetics is around how you show up as that person that you are becoming and as the person that they're becoming too, so that you collapse the time on fundamentally them trusting you because they want to be part of that world. We then play around with embodied messaging. I don't believe we should just be writing messaging now. I think we need to be actually embodying it and moving as it. And finally, we talk about brand world. So creating seamless brand worlds. And I think that's probably my biggest differentiation to most stereotypical brand strategists is I don't think anymore it's just about funnels. It's not enough to just stand on a stage. It's not enough to just have an asset within your brand. You've got to fundamentally create something that people want to become a part of. So that's the really strategic side of what it is that we do. So when you look at all of that, yes, okay, as a byproduct, 100% we do create logos and websites and graphics and all of those beautiful things. But the strategy behind it is the thing that makes it work a million times harder.
So does that mean that someone working with you should then, they've gone through this process, they should then be able to make quicker and more on-brand decisions when they're then looking at other projects within their business, for example?
Yeah, 100%. Like we've got clients that have worked with us and they've been years in business and they'll come back to us and say, fundamentally, I've got to do a lot of that stuff again because I think brand is the foundation of everything, right? And so many people are skipping over that, not realizing that they're using their brand every single day. So not only can this help you make savvier decisions, but it will collapse the time on you being seen differently and chosen faster. So one of the things that we talk about is you want a brand that sells itself, right? So if you're building a brand properly, it's not just, oh, well, never mind, I've just had my branding done. It's actually fundamentally like, what are the strategic moves that you are making on a day-to-day that build trust faster, that ensures that people actually move towards you? So one of the things I say a lot is it's not enough to just be the obvious choice anymore. The obvious choice is you being able to communicate what it is that you do. To become the only choice, you've got to be able to actually connect with people on a much deeper level and have them move towards you without even questioning whether they should or not.
So you talk about becoming the only choice. What does that actually look like in practice?
Oh, good question. So I want people to be able to, whatever touch point they're having with their clients, to be able to say the right things, show up in the right way in order to collapse time on people moving towards them. So when you're the only choice, it's like every single touch point of your brand is making them go, I need this. This is a part of the world that I want to be part of this world. I want to move towards this person. And I just know because this person can communicate and see me in a way that only they can. So I think so many people now, and I can get a bit ranty about this, but I'll be on my best behavior today. I think so many people now are just carbon copies of everything else we've already seen. And it doesn't mean they're not genius, but genius makes you an obvious choice to move towards. I've got a solution. The only choice means that you're innovative. that you're doing differently, that you've got a unique way of doing things, that when that person hears that, they're like, yes, this is exactly what I needed to hear, and I'm going to move towards them. You stop being just somebody that's good at what you do. You start being somebody that's actually leading and dominating the industry that you sit in. So in which case, you become more of an only choice because you're doing things multiple steps ahead. We all have genius inside us, and a lot of the time it's just that we're not actually communicating it in a way that makes us stand out. We're just doing it in a way that they've already heard before. And people are snoozing off to that. And we all know that. Like, you know, marketing has become harder now in order to garner attention. So how do we garner attention? We truly start to be different and see things differently and say things differently and connect with our audience in a way that only we can. So yeah, okay, that could be story, but it could be unique ways of saying things, doing things. It could be your unique methodology. It can be the way that you're already predicting things that are coming. We're not spending enough time giving ourselves space to do that because we're always in the external hamster wheel of just having to do all the do, right?
With that unique side of things, one of the things that I see a lot of, particularly in the online space, and the online space is fairly new to me. I tend to work with in-person businesses, so online is quite interesting in itself. We could have a whole conversation about that, but what I see quite often in that online space is what you just said before about a lot of people looking the same. So I see lots of brand shoots where everyone, it's almost like people have got this checklist of all the poses. So I want to have the pose where I'm sat at my laptop. I want to have the pose where I'm having a cup of coffee or I'm laughing or all these different things. And it's almost got to the point where it's a bit of a parody of itself. Like what do you think about all of that?
I mean, if any of my clients were ever like, I'm going to sit. Do you know, I had a client once and every single photo shoot she ever had, she had her phone and it was always like this in her hand. And I was like, your one thing on this photo shoot is you're banned from having your phone in your hand. It was such a stereotypical staple of her. But I think that we've got to find really, like I always, when I work with my clients and we're ever doing any of their photo shoots, we're essentially saying, well, who are your clients wanting to be? And who are you becoming, and how can we create that version of that in a unique way that stands out for you? I don't think we should look like everybody else. Fundamentally, like what I want to be able to do with as many people as possible is turn up the dial on them, not turn up the dial on who they think they need to be in the entrepreneurial world. So we need to find different angles, different unique ways of doing things. We need to think like, well, what fundamentally, inherently am I? And how can I bring that to the table more? Yeah, okay. We want to brand for whoever comes, so we want to turn up the dial on it. But fundamentally, it's still you. I think, how often do we all go and like, you know, show your life? Like, I think like so often, like we're not living our lives at our desks. And a lot of our transformations aren't saying, you'll work really hard, sit at your desk all the time. This will be really fun. So why on earth in a photo shoot do we want to do the same thing? We want to do stuff that's showing people this is what life can be like because this is what my life's like. And yeah, okay, it might be a slightly amplified version of that, but fundamentally, that it's the truth, right? So then what's like inherent within you? What's different and unique about you? Like I want to do a shoot in Yorkshire, like we're planning that at the moment with me literally in like the coolest dresses I've ever seen in my life, but in the middle of like a field of sheep because I live in that world, like that is my life. So like to me that's freedom, like being out in nature, being out in countryside. So how can I bring that to the table? People aren't looking to see whether or not like you work dead hard sitting at your laptop in coffee shops all the time. People want to see you because people connect with you.
Leading on from that, why do you think that so many founders end up sounding the same as everyone else in their industry? Surely people should be aware of this stuff by now.
I think one of the problems is that somebody's always gone first, right? Somebody's had, if you look at like the biggest names in entrepreneurialism, fundamentally, they're the people that have seen gaps, thought of unique ways to like push those gaps, and then they've gone out there into the world. Well, the problem is, and this especially happens in the online space, is that I think what we're creating is come and learn from me. Now you go tell everybody else how to do it. Now you go tell everybody else how to do it. And what that's creating is just, yeah, okay, it's people that get results. But if you truly want to build and I always say a world-class brand, what we've got to do is not follow someone else, use their tools, make them your own. Like, I think entrepreneurs come into the industry because they've got some form of genius within themselves. Yet when they come into the world, there's so much noise from the internet about who we should be, who we shouldn't be, what it is that we do, how a challenge works, how this happens. And that's all great, but that shouldn't take away from your own unique genius that you get to put your twist on and bring to the table. So why do I think everybody's doing the same thing? Because we're living in an echo chamber of everybody only hearing the same thing. But the problem is now that used to be okay, because it used to be like a people buy from people, like they'll connect with you and that's why they'll buy from you. But that's got a million times harder, because I can go and get all that information from the internet. And we know that that's a problem now, you know, like with AI. And I hate banging on about it because I don't hate AI, but fundamentally we can go and get the information from there. So the unique USP needs to be, how can I take time out of the business, not just in the business, out of my marketing, not just in my marketing, to be like, what's my unique way of seeing this world? Like, how can I bring a really unique, fresh differentiation point? Because that's going to be what wins now. Because otherwise, like, fundamentally, if we look at, like, I've been in business for 10 years now. 10 years ago, 100%, like somebody came up with an idea, everybody just latched onto it, and now everybody's talking about the idea. So we need to be the person that's come up with the idea, not just following. Because I always say, like, a leader can never be created by following a leader that's already there. So in which case, we've got to step up and be those leaders, because otherwise we are just blending into the noise now.
And a lot of business owners tell me that they struggle to identify what it is that makes them different. How do you go about helping someone uncover what is distinctive about them to identify what this is, what this USP is?
Here's the most simplest way of putting that. So if we take me as an example, and when I've come up with the ways that I do what it is that I do, I realized a really long time ago that a brand can never rise past the level of the identity of the person. So in which case, I could say I do positioning. I could say that I do messaging. But what is it that makes that really stand out? So I've asked myself, like, okay, so we know loads of stuff about identity and we know loads of stuff about positioning. So how can I team them two things together to make that like really, really different? And that's where one part of my framework, identity-led positioning, came along. I teamed two parts of my knowledge and made it one. And I started thinking, well, okay, like if I can think really differently about brand, how can I start shouting about that more? I think everybody can think differently about everything if they choose to allow themselves to see it. So when we work with our customers, we spend a lot of time like pulling out of people their own unique thoughts that they don't even realize they have, right? Because we don't spend enough time even thinking about it. So the differentiation doesn't become, I'm not redefining identity. I'm not redefining like neuroscience. Like fundamentally that was there before, but how I use it creates my twist on how I talk about what it is that I do. So where can you talk about your own subjects, but put your twist on the way that you speak about them to make them your own? How can you actually spend time looking at what's coming in the world and think, well, how can I utilize that rather than rebel against it? And how can I make differentiation in how I see things? I think the biggest problem of why nobody's different is because they just listen to the echo chamber and the noise without being like, what do I actually think? What do I actually believe? What do I actually know to be true? And how can I share that with the world more? I think one of the biggest reasons people are fearful to be different is because it's quite scary. You're putting your head above the parapet and going, I actually see this really differently. And people get feared that, you know, like they're going to get backlash for that or disagreement for that. And that's one of the biggest reasons why nobody ever wants to do it. But fundamentally, you've got genius, you've got knowledge like sitting within you. The key is getting it out there into the world. So I mean, look, like, do I think that you can be successful in business when you're learning from other people? Yeah, 100%. But you're still going on a journey yourself. Every single day you're learning things. Like, every day is another opportunity. Every time something doesn't go right, it's an opportunity to learn. Those lessons become that unique USP when you actually start listening to them rather than brushing them aside and pretending they didn't exist. Give yourself the time to look at them. And then what that's going to allow you to do is find your own ways of tweaking and adapting things. And now look, you've started to find your differentiation, right?
Makes sense. Makes sense. Nicki, what's your view on the relationship between a founder's personal brand and their business brand? And where do you see people getting that balance wrong?
So interesting. So there's a lot of noise right now about the fact that your brand isn't as important as your personal brand. But fundamentally, every single brand in the world, and I always use the example of Nike, right? Every single massive brand in the world has humans behind it. So even Nike, when they do campaigns, they'll get ambassadors in to connect with people. Every single time they do a big video like that they put out into the world. There's a story behind it. So fundamentally, when we are entrepreneurial, we are that story. We are that person. So I think there's become a bit of a problem in the industry whereby people are saying, well, brand doesn't matter. Your brand, your business brand doesn't matter anymore. It's all about personal brand. But that's not really true, because your business brand always has some form of connection to it. Because even if you've got a faceless brand, you've still got a tone of voice. You've still got a way that you say things and do things. You've still got a methodology and a belief system that you stand by. So in which case, we need both. And I think if all of the entrepreneurs just move over to personal brand, we're going to see a bigger problem, because now you can't exit your business. And now you haven't actually got a brand at all. Everything relies on you. So I think it's about how can we actually utilize your personal brand. Fundamentally, your founder brand should be the thing that bangs the drum about your business. Your business is your brand. Like, fundamentally, every single person has a brand and has a personal brand element. So they both work. And I think the noise is making people forget that personal brand has always been relevant and it's always been present. It's just been used in a different way, because we all brands are connecting with people all the time. So regardless, a personal brand isn't the only thing that's going to do that. It's just you're your brand's ambassador, because we're all entrepreneurs and we don't have loads of famous people to come and do our stuff for us, right? But they're both there anyway, and you need both, not just one or the other.
I really like that phrase around the personal brand element. So it's an element of the brand, and you're right. There's so much noise about personal brand now, and actually, if you've got a business brand and you have a team, you can't forget both of those.
And there's also a massive thing here about, like, if I think about myself, I've been a personal brand for the whole time I've been in business. And now we're like, right, okay, so this agency could scale, like, so I have a brand agency. This agency can scale a million times harder if people don't only ever think all they're getting is Nicki James. That I would be the bottleneck if people only thought the only person they would ever get is me. Obviously, it's all overseen by me. It's all creative directed by me. But we have a team of people doing things. It's actually boosts and amplifies your personal brand if you actually have that external agency, as an example in my situation, that I can talk about. It actually increases your authority. So I think we need to stop thinking that we shouldn't have brands now and only personal brands. I think your personal brand becomes, I don't know what it's called, right? I always use this, but like, your personal brand is like the thing that holds the spokes of the umbrellas together. So whatever that thing is at the top, whatever that's called, and then all your things that come off of it, is whether that's an offer, whether it's complete individual businesses, they can all come underneath it. And as long as they all work together, your personal brand is the driver. But these businesses underneath, these brands underneath, are still dead important.
Mm. So are you encouraging your team to have their own personal brand as well as obviously be part of your business?
So most of our team are freelance. So yes, 100%. Like, I would encourage them to. But even if I thought about, my husband works for a creative like agency, works for an advertising agency, like 100%, like, everybody should have a personal brand now. I think that it leverages, even like, you're going to get other work, or, you're trying to garner attention in other ways. Fundamentally, we should all have a personal brand element to whatever it is that we do. The level of that personal brand element differentiates, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, 100% you want to be on stages, you want to be on podcasts, you want to be writing books, you want to be doing all these things. Do I think that if I had a full-time member of staff, they would be needing to do those things? No, probably not. Not unless their vision for the future is to start their own stuff. But I think that still a online presence is really important now.
Totally, totally. Have you got an example that you can share with us of a founder who transformed their positioning and saw a significant shift in opportunities or growth as a result?
I mean, loads of my clients. Like, I feel like I don't ever want to like own this. I can own all of them. Like, it's totally cool. But I never want to like own the fact that a lot of people come to me when they're on the cusp of more. And a lot of our clients, because we work with quite a lot of high level founders, like, they always seem to be on the cusp of a pivot. And then they come to me and we're like, this is the new thing. Yeah, so like a perfect example of that would probably be my client Tanya. So when she came to me, she was all in property, sorry, and her entire thing was she had a property portfolio and she helped other people to grow their own property portfolios. And she could always feel within herself this like, I've got so much more that I could be doing here, but had absolutely zero clue really what that was. And it was really obvious to me really, really quickly that fundamentally she was charging way above average than this industry for courses, for one-to-one coaching, and all of these things. And I was like, okay, so imagine if we actually owned that and you started to create a whole thing about being around high ticket sales. And we created this 4-part framework. And the final part of the framework was, once you've made all the money and you've done all the like high ticket selling, and you've built the brand and you're doing all of this stuff, well, you can multiply that money because now we can invest it into property. And she actually went out there into the world, and like she literally had a multi-5-figure launch like as soon as she came out into the world with it. And I think so often people are sitting on gold mines because fundamentally like they're doing what they do and that's all they know, and they feel this pull, but they're like, well, that would totally take me off in a different direction. And I think sometimes one of the biggest issues with the word pivot is they pivot and they shift and they change, and then fundamentally they forget everything that brought them to where they are now. And when you do that, that creates that disconnect within your brand, right? Because suddenly it's like, whoa, where's that come from? But done properly and utilized together, actually you can find all those hidden skill sets that you're just doing naturally. And all these opportunities come because now you've carved out a corner of the internet that you choose to own. And I think that's the biggest thing, is your choice to go all in and own a corner of the internet and get really, really loud about no one does it like you. And when you do that, all the opportunities come because people want to hear your unique way of doing things.
Nicki, we're almost out of time, but I've got 2 quick final questions for you. So what do you think founders should, or personal brands, but however you want to define people, should be spending less time on when it comes to branding?
I mean, I'm probably going to get killed by all the social media marketers here, but I think social media to me now is less about a place where they're going to find you and more about a place where they're going to come and check you out to make sure they like you. So I make most of my sales in business standing on stage and having really strategic way. I don't sell to people on stage, but having really strategic ways that people move towards me off the back of that. I think you have to find the thing that's right for you.
Well, my final question, I feel like you've already answered it. What should people be spending more time on?
So I think asset building, and I also think as many opportunities as possible to get yourself in front of other people's audiences, and really, really great ways to then spread your message further and wider. If there's one thing that we can be doing, how can you get in front of as many people as possible with the unique message that you bring to the world so that more people can hear what it is that you're about?
Love it. And on that note, thank you so much for coming on the show, Nicki. That's amazing. If anyone watching or listening hasn't come across you before, where's the best place for them to find you?
I think Instagram is probably the best place, and I'm the Nicki James. I spell my name like a weirdo. It's Nicki. And yeah, we can connect over there.
Amazing. And we'll pop that link in the show notes to make it super easy. Nicki, thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening. If you're serious about growing your profile, take our free profile assessment quiz to see where you're at right now and get hints and tips on how to improve your score. You'll find the link to the quiz in the show notes. If you've enjoyed the episode, it would be mint if you'd subscribe, like, and leave a review. See you next Monday.